this week. On days of our Steelers, the Steelers come off of a bye week, a week in which Mike Tomlin usually underprepares the team to take on the Cleveland Browns in First Energy Stadium, their first true test since winning 2 games in a row against teams that were inferior, but at the same time the Steelers looked much better, especially on the offensive side of the ball. The Steelers today are looking to make sure that they can beat their divisional rival, the team that knocked them out of the playoffs in the wildcard round last year, and I'm surprised they didn't put up a banner in their stadium for it, as Rashard Higgins gets the first down. Definitely something that we may be seeing again more today. And Mayfield, and this defense is coming out flat right now as Mayfield is driving the Browns down the field. But the Steelers, they need to get this win. This is their first true test, and it can prove how much they have improved since the year began. And yes, Cleveland's having a little bit of a disappointing season themselves so far, even though they still have a positive record, so they have something to go off of. But the Browns are a solid team, so beating a team like this would prove how far this team has come, and how the Steelers can get back to the playoffs if they continue to play this way. And by that I mean, defense primarily wins the game, except the offense does better, and the defense is the reason why they win, but the offense does enough to win, if not more. Because they could do it. They really could. I don't know if they will. I don't know if they won't. That's really a big question mark. But at this point, they have a much better chance than what they did in the way they looked, especially against the Bengals and Packers, because those are atrocious games. As this is going to be incomplete. Cleveland's going to get the ball back, and the defense was resilient for the Steelers' last drive. They only gave up a field goal, and Cleveland is up 3-0 right now, and this is going to be a first down. Nick Chubb's back in the lineup today for the Browns, as well as Jarvis Landry. He is back, and Odell Beckham Jr. is also playing today. Denzel Ward will be out as Landry gets the reception. He falls down for about an extra yard, about the 49-yard line, first down for Cleveland. And right now, this almost the end of the first quarter already. Very fast first quarter. This game had some pretty fast quarters. You're going to learn later it's a very big defensive game, as Chubb's going to make it a 3rd down and 2. Mayfield takes a snap, and that's going to be given off to Johnson, and that is going to go absolutely nowhere, and it's going to set up a 4th down and very short, and Cleveland's going to go for it. Biggest play of the game so far. They hand off to Chubb, and Chubb, he is going to be stuffed. He's not going to get it. A very predictable play, but at the same time, Nick Chubb usually is able to overpower the defense, even though it's predictable, because obviously it's Chubb. Why wouldn't you hand him the ball? Except the Steelers' defense is able to get the stop. They power through Nick Chubb, and they give Roethlisberger the football, and he fits it through a tight window. Wow, what a great pass by Ben. He's slowly been getting better, although I believe the Broncos game was a little bit better than the Seahawks game. He's been getting better as the season has gone on, especially since that Packers loss. He's really looked like a competent quarterback and someone who is at least decent, and that's probably the best you're going to get from Ben now, because he's not the old Ben, but he's still capable, except he's not very mobile, and you see that there as he is sacked, and there's going to be a flag on the play as well, but the Browns get the sack on that play. Roethlisberger just gets up, shakes his head, as it's going to be 3rd down and 14, and the Steelers give it to Freiermuth, who can't get the first down, obviously, because why would he whenever he's 10 yards behind the line of game? And that's going to result in what looks like to be a field goal by Boswell. Kick is up, and it is good. And this hopefully won't be the only converted kick that we see from Boswell today, right, guys? And Browns get the ball back. Baker Mayfield, he's scrambling, and he is taken down. He scrambled. He couldn't get out of there, so he just sacrificed himself, and the Steelers just touch him, then they get the sack, because that's what it counts as. And Roethlisberger hands it off to Ballage. He's going absolutely nowhere. That was kind of a stupid play, don't you think? But the play calling has been getting better as the weeks have gone on. And this one is caught to Deontay Johnson. Who would have thought that whenever you throw the ball towards the line of game that you convert on 3rd down? I understand not doing it every single time because it's predictable, but like 3/4 of the time on 3rd down and long, we're throwing a 3-yard pass. Like, what are we doing? But Claypool, haven't really utilized him much today. He had a big game against the Browns last year in Week 17 with Rudolph throwing him the ball. He gets the first down on the end around, and this is going to be taken up the middle, and it's going to be a first down. Najee Harris, speaking of running backs, Anthony McFarland is he's playing in his first game this season. He's been out with an injury the entire time, and Roethlisberger is sacked. That's Myles Garrett getting to him. He has the quarterback graveyard, and he has also went into the game with a costume, so he definitely won the pregame costume contest. Let's see if he can win the normal contest. What are we doing? Why didn't we kick the field goal? Are you actually... Oh, my God. Explain this to me. It's a defensive football game, and you're on the road, and you have the momentum, and just kick the field goal, go into halftime winning 6-3, and you receive the ball at half, what do? We fake the field goal. That's not the time to do it, okay? At least have the lead when you do that, but even still, don't do that. You don't do that in a game like this when you're 3-3 and can risk missing a mistake. And of course, Boswell got injured. Now we might not have a kicker the rest of the game. And about halfway through the third quarter, he was ruled out, so we don't have a kicker the rest of this game. All right? We were going to have Presley Harvin in. He probably won't even be able to kick kickoffs and extra points and field goals or whatever they want him to kick. They're not going to have a kicker the rest of this game. If the Steelers lose, that's a huge reason why. And that's just a testament to how Mike Tomlin, honestly, I don't care for him. Like, 2019 was a good year for him, and his teams don't lose. I mean, they go through adversity so much, and they somehow find a way to have at least a 500 record, but that's not possible anymore, so he'd have to have a winning season this year to avoid his first losing season as a head coach. But my goodness, I mean, he gets bailed out by high-end talent so much, and he at this point, like, he's not bad, but he's just not the reason why the Steelers win games, and he's sometimes the reason why they lose. As he walks right in, and the Steelers come out flat in the second half on defense, similar to the first half, except this time they weren't able to hold him to a field goal. That's a touchdown for Johnson. He had a huge game last week against the Broncos, and is going to make it a 10-3 football game. And the Steelers are down by 7. They would be down by 4, but Mike Tomlin's an idiot. Matt Canada confirmed the play, and so did the special teams coordinator. I have no idea what we're doing, and I also have no idea why monkeys are running this organization. Get the orangutans out, get the Roonies back in there. Because even though the Roonies sometimes use the Steelers' way as an excuse to be incompetent, at least they're not literal orangutans. As Benny Snell's in the game, and he's not able to get the first down, it's going to make it a 4th down and 1 for the Steelers. They're going to hand it off to Harris, and Harris fighting, and it looks like he's barely going to get it. Najee Harris for the first down. He had a big game today, and good amount of carries for 91 yards, and he's well worth the pick. I mean, he was well worth the pick. He seems like someone special, and we finally, it looks like, have found a true option since Le'Veon Bell, because James Conner had a good year in 2018, but he went downhill. And Benny Snell, Anthony McFarland, they're okay, but you could just tell. Speaking of which, no one's really been talking about this. The Steelers released Jalen Samuels. He's no longer on the active roster, nor is he on the practice squad. Maybe the last we hear from him, but I'm sure we'll sign him to the practice squad someday. As Freiermuth picks up the first down, gives someone a stiff arm, sort of. I mean, that wasn't really a Derrick Henry type stiff arm. But Freiermuth, he's had himself a good rookie season so far. He really looks like the future at the tight end position. And this is going to be hurdled and into the end zone. He dives above all of the defenders, and that's going to be a touchdown for Najee Harris. And he's going to make it so the Steelers are going to tie up this football game. Oh, wait. They don't have a kicker. 2-point conversion time. Oh, my goodness. I actually like this play calling. It bends into the end zone. And that's going to be a 2-point conversion, but oh, my gosh. No. It's a flag. It's probably holding. Yep. Holding, offense, number 53, Kendrick Green. Steelers, they're not even going to try to kick an extra point. So if the Steelers lose this game, this is going to be a big reason, if not the reason why. Because Boswell's injured, and that's because of the coach, and they do not get it. So the Steelers, even though this, in normal circumstances, they should be up by 3 right now, if you factor in the field goal and the missed extra point, and the extra point, but even just the extra point, it should be at least a tied football game right here. And if somehow Boswell would have missed that kick, but I'm positive I would have bet my life that he made it. And Steelers have the football, 1st and 10. They're going to dump it down to Freiermuth, and not Freiermuth, Gentry, and that's going to be a 1st down for the Steelers. And honestly, Eric Ebron should be gone after this year. I mean, he's on the active roster. I don't even know why. We don't use him. We should use Freiermuth, which is justifiable. We should use Freiermuth as a number 1 tight end. I like Gentry as the backup option. Ebron should be gone after this year. Maybe at the trade deadline if someone wants him for some reason. And he dumps it down to Gentry on 1st down and 20, and that's going to be a 1st down. Gentry's going to gain about 24 yards on that play. Going to set up a 1st down and 10 inside the red zone for Pittsburgh. As this one's caught by Claypool. Claypool is fighting. He's going about the 4 to 3 yard line, and that's going to result in the 1st down and goal for the Steelers. And the Steelers knocking on a doorstep here in First Energy Stadium, looking to prove to their little brother who's the boss, and that Ben Roethlisberger is their father. And it is incomplete. And, these teams, if the Steelers win this game, they still play one more time this year. And I'm not ruling Cleveland out. They could win that game, but it still doesn't mean that Roethlisberger doesn't just, own their franchise, basically, because, he's beaten them so many times. It's just amazing. And yes, a lot of that is because the Browns used to suck, but, they're always in the game. And right here, this is he in? Did he catch it? Yes, he did. The ref rules touchdown. Pat Freiermuth, he scores the touchdown. And Pittsburgh has the lead in this game once again. And Harrison, he's not able to come up with the play. Freiermuth, Originally, it was deflected out of his hands, but he was able to catch the ball and stay in bounds. 2-point conversion is incomplete, and Deontay Johnson's not able to grab onto that ball. You know, just really a fade that they were hoping that he'd come down with it. He didn't. Pittsburgh's up by 5, 15-10. Mayfield, he throws it to a wide open David Njoku. That's going to be a gain of over 20 yards and a first down for Cleveland. 10-14 to play in the fourth quarter. Huge game for both teams, especially the Steelers, considering that they're not the team that's above 500 right now, and they're just at 500. Whoever loses this game takes the toilet of being last place in the division, and this is a good division, but no one wants to be last place in any division. I mean, come on. And Mayfield scrambles, and he's going to take a hit, and is it late? I would say it's a clean hit, and it wasn't super late. I better say not penalizing him. Oh, my goodness. He gets out of there and accelerates him. He gets a little cocky. He throws his arms around. He thinks he can win this game for the Browns, and he thinks he all of a sudden owns the Steelers just because the Steelers rolled over and just fell on a rake that hit him in the face. Then they fell down, and this is going to be a fumble. It's a fumble, and it's picked up by T.J. Watt. And Taco Charlton, who was activated the 53-man roster because of the Melvin Ingram problems, he helps force the fumble, and wow, the Steelers have the football. Mayfield, go pump your fist on the sideline whenever you sit there depressed right now, because your team is fumbling the football, and they're not really doing you any favors right now, buddy, so maybe you should tell them to start doing that instead of pumping your fist arrogantly. As right here, Browns get the ball at the 39-yard line, but like I was saying, Cleveland, the last year's playoff game, I still think they would have beat the Steelers, but the Steelers, literally all the Browns had to do was sit there and just watch the Steelers lose. Like, the Steelers fell off a cliff, and they proceeded to land on a bouncy house, which propelled them 500 feet in the air. They landed on a rake, which hit them in the face. Then they fell off a cliff again, and then they were eaten by rabid dogs that were Mike Tomlin and Randy Fichtner, because literally they shot themselves in the foot like Plaxico Burress. And this one, Beckham's not able to get it. Sutton comes up huge on the play, deflecting the pass, as that is going to be incomplete, but there is a flag on the play, and it was going to be a roughing the passer on the Steelers. Questionable call, but at the same time, I understand it, and I'm not going to debate it, argue it. It's 3rd down and 11 here for Baker Mayfield. He pumps his fist. He has confidence. Can he lead his team to victory? And Higgins, a huge false start. That was so obvious. And that's going to be a false start on the offense, like I said. So it's going to make it 3rd and 16. Baker Mayfield trying to lead a game-winning drive, something that I don't think I've ever seen this man do. At least I haven't seen him do it in the past 2 years. The man who's on all the progressive commercials, except hasn't truly progressed a ton since his rookie year. 4th and 12. Can Mayfield, the golden boy, get the job done? He throws it, and it's incomplete. Minkah Fitzpatrick intimidates. I'm kidding. But Minkah Fitzpatrick on the coverage, and Joe Hayden, it is incomplete. No, it's not Joe Hayden. Jarvis Landry goes for the ball, and Fitzpatrick is able to get enough contact on Landry on his way down that he drops the ball, and all the Steelers need is a first down. This game is over. They're calling a quick pass, something that you don't expect, but it's going to work. I love that play call. Deontay Johnson's going to get over 50 yards, and this game is over. Ben Roethlisberger has taken the paternity test, and he has concluded for about the 25th time that he is indeed the Cleveland Browns' father whenever he doesn't decide to throw 4 interceptions like he did last year and really just have his team all around him shoot him in the foot, because honestly, that's what happened last year. I mean, the Browns won that game fair and square. I think they would have won regardless, but oh my goodness, the Steelers definitely helped the Browns. They just had, the first quarter, the Browns just had to sit there and literally just take the football and go down the field. No one was going to tackle them. No one was going to do anything. But the Steelers get the win. They are 4-3, their 3rd straight win in a row, and the Steelers are right back in the playoff picture. I mean, they technically were, but they're right back in it. No longer in last place in the AFC North. That title will be held to the Cleveland Browns, and obviously they're not bad, but right now, the schedule they have left, they really could, I mean, obviously things can turn around, but if they play the way I've seen them been playing, they could truly not make the playoffs. And with the expectation that this Cleveland Browns team has, and rightfully so, the playoffs should be the borderline. Okay, that shouldn't be something that they barely make or barely miss. They should be able to make the playoffs with the team that they have and the expectation that they have. And obviously, they're not their 0-16 former selves. They're a new Cleveland Browns team. But man, they might be like in mediocrity right now, because They might be the factory of sadness, except a little bit upgraded and into mediocrity edition. But the Steelers, they get their third straight win in a row. They win against a team that, finally, a team that you can argue, well, they're definitely much better than the Seahawks and Broncos, but a team that you can argue they definitely would not have beaten if they played the way they did in the first 4 weeks, especially weeks 2, 3, and 4. But this just proves how far the Steelers team has come. The offensive line played an average game, Pretty solid game by the offensive line. Harris doing his thing. Roethlisberger didn't look like a liability. If anything, the coaching did. And this team they've come so far on offense. We have to hope Boswell gets back because let's be real for a second. All right, the Steelers, they are not the type of team that's going to score touchdowns 80% of the time that they're in the red zone like they used to. Okay, they're going to kick field goals. And that's the unfortunate reality. Doesn't mean they're going to lose. That doesn't mean they're going to lose a crap ton of games. But what it does mean is that they need a kicker. And if Boswell's out, I mean, obviously they'll sign a kicker, but it doesn't mean that they're going to have a ton of confidence in him, which can lead to some problems. And the Browns, they're obviously not the old Cleveland Browns, and they never will be again, most likely. They're not going to be this 0-16 type team again. But they could be the factory of sadness mediocrity edition, because this year is looking rough for them. I mean, they're already 4-4, and they have Super Bowl aspirations, right? They have winning the division for the first time aspirations. I mean, they have so many aspirations, and right now they're all just being crushed. And they're looking like the 2019 Cleveland Browns, but obviously not as bad because that team was bad. It was terribly coached as well. Kevin Stefanski's a good coach, and they're just a better team overall. But the Steelers, they're 4-3. If they win these next 2 games against the Bears and the Lions, they'll be 6-3. And obviously, Mike Tomlin can do Mike Tomlin things, and we can find a way to goof around and lose those 2 games. But if all goes well, we should be sitting here 2 weeks from now talking about how we're 6-3. And that's a pretty good position to make the playoffs. I mean, they have a hard schedule, but I believe they could do it. They beat the Bills earlier this year. They beat Cleveland this year. And, Cleveland's not to the level of the Bills, but they're still a quality football team. Sure, they're hitting a low right now, but they're a quality football team, okay? I don't want anyone to argue with that. But if they win half of their games at that point, which would be 4 and then losing 4, they would be 10-7, which should be good enough to make the playoffs. But in the AFC, 11-6 is a definite way to make sure that you make the playoffs in the AFC. Because 9-8, you're really pushing it. Maybe in the NFC, but 9-8 might not be good enough in the AFC. But the Steelers, their season has been renewed. Meanwhile, Cleveland's is going in a negative direction. And just like the Steelers never refusing to die, so are the days of our Steelers.